Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, welcome to today's Marketing Mindshare. Today we are having Lori Bridgeforth present. But before we get into her presentation, I just want to briefly introduce who we are, what we do, for those of you who are new. Our mission for this group, what we're aspiring to do is to inspire excellence in communication and marketing and encourage collaboration between businesses, organizations, and individuals in the top of Virginia Regional Chamber membership. And our vision, the way we want to achieve that is through these meetings, to create a community of success-minded marketers that through education, like the presentations that we have, and collaboration, both in our meetings and outside of our meetings, expands the capacity of all of our members to achieve great things for the benefit of our area. So just a couple of announcements before we dive in. There will be one follow-up announcement at the end of the meeting after we've discussed the topic. But we do want to keep emphasizing the virtual networking, so keep trying to connect, find ways to connect online. So it seems like this is working out pretty well. The whole messaging someone during the meeting, exchanging emails and finding a time to schedule a meeting over video call or phone call or something like that. So if that's working out for you, we encourage you to keep on doing that. And then also we have two other resources to help everyone stay in contact. There's that Marketing Mindshare Facebook group that we have. And there's actually been a little bit of traffic on that this month, which I was very happy to see. So please join that. You can just search for TVRC Marketing Mindshare Facebook group and request to join, and either Ashley or I or someone else will approve the request. And we just post, good articles that we read. If we have questions or need help with anything, we've posted that in there. Amy, I appreciate what you posted the other day, because that reminded me, like, oh, right, I need to post our sticker. Amy posted that she stuck their chamber membership sticker on their front door. I was like, oh, yeah, we need to do that too. So it's just a fun place to hang out and connect on Facebook outside of the group meetings. And then we also have that group contact info spreadsheet. So if there is a particular member that you want to reach out to, you can look and see if their information is on that spreadsheet. And if you would like to be contacted by others in the group, then please add your information there as well. And finally, we still need more topic presenters. So if you want to teach our group about anything that's one of your marketing specialties, something you know about, specifically that can strategically help others expand and nurture their audiences, because that's our theme for this year, is all about strategically expanding your audiences with personas and target markets, that I'd love to sign you up as a presenter. So just send me an email or let me know through the feedback form that we'll send out at the end of this. Let me know what you'd be interested in talking about and when you'd be interested in presenting that. I'd love to have at least 3 or 4 more lined up. So I'm still definitely looking for presenters. So please reach out if you're interested. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lori. I'll stop presenting.
Okay. All right.
Oh, come on. Can you just take over the presenting? Try to figure out how to stop this. Oh, there we go. Stop share. There you go.
There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. I am Lori Bridgeforth Photographics. And okay, I want to talk to you all a little bit today about taking better pictures. And hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If you can't, I'm on screen share, so I can't see you, but I can hear you. At least I think I can. So if you can't hear me, let me know. But this is my business card, my contact info. And this is a little bit about me. Our imagery tells your story, whether it's commercial or portrait or photo restoration. I have been in business for 32 years. I learned to handle a camera at age 9. My husband Scott. We've been married almost 31 years. We have 3 kids, bonus son-in-law, a dog, and a couple of granddogs. And I'm going to show you just a couple of samples of my work. You know, this isn't the Bridgeforth Photographic Sing-Along, but, you know, I want you to know that at least this is, you know, I am a professional photographer. This is what I do. And so here's, you know, just a few samples of what I've worked on over the last few years. I do a lot of portraits, both in studio and on location, and do product work and manufacturing. So I do actually a lot of manufacturing work. I make ugly, dark, dirty places look really cool. So I'm going to show you a little bit, just some very simple things about taking better pictures. You know, that you can use, these are tips that you can use with any camera, including your smartphone. But I'm just going to give you a caveat here that this screen right here, if you are trying to take manufacturing photos with a smartphone, you won't have the best results, okay? So that's just one to give you that little caveat. I'm going to show you a mix of personal and professional images to illustrate my points, because that makes the content a little more relatable. You know, it's not all just, you know, high dollar, high marketing shots that I'm showing you. It's shots of my kids and soccer games and this and that. But, you know, I just want to show you a little bit different tips and tricks that you can use to make your images for your company that much better. And if you get stuck and need help, just reach out to me. So first, we're going to talk about composition. Composition consists of depth, framing, and color. So this shot for Harper's Ferry Adventure Company, this line right here in the corner, yeah, it's just a dirt road, but this line, I think the term is leading lines, and it takes you right into this shot where these folks are just riding segways through a field and heading off that way. And that's very helpful in order to get people into the shot where you want them to be, your actual subject. Okay. Composition here. For those of you that don't know, this is Jennifer Shea Root, and she's with Morgan Stanley. And if you know her, this is just the quintessential Jen Shea Root, you know, with the heart and the peace sign in the background and the hat. She met Mick Jagger in that hat, by the way. That's a true story because I was there. Okay, so back to composition. See this lovely edge of this chair right here, just completely frames her. And so those are the sorts of things you want to look for when you are taking pictures. Okay, depth and color. This young lady was actually, I shot this portrait over at the Museum in the Shenandoah Valley. And she was her senior portrait. She happened to be going to James Madison University. Go Dukes. And of course, we have yellow and purple tulips. How convenient is that? So depth, color, things in the foreground and things in the background. Okay, this is my youngest son, Seth's senior portrait from Hamley. And here, these columns provide the depth and the texture behind him. A little bit of a monochromatic background with him obviously right here, looking like he's just full of himself, which, oh, he was. But anyway, and framing. So this shot was also for the Harper's Ferry Adventure Center. Yes, I got paid to go out on the river rafting, which was a blast. And so this shot, I knew it was coming. I'm floating down the river and I see these red rafts down here. And then they happen to float just past this bridge. So they're catching the sunlight but the foreground is in shadow. So that's how you frame subjects to make sure that your eye is drawn into the shot. Okay, sometimes things do not have to be dead center. My dad used to tease me that I was a half a bubble off center, and that's still true today. And I love things that are asymmetrical, which means they're not exactly even on both sides. And sometimes you can find the most mundane subjects look really, really cool. So, in the pandemic, here we are cleaning everything out of our cabinets and all that stuff. So here's these colored toothpicks, right? And so I pulled those out and thought, oh, wow, that's really cool. Next thing you know, it's on my social media. So those mundane objects that are super colorful can actually be really interesting for your social media content. And these pumpkins, I found these painted pumpkins at the Farmer's Daughter in West Virginia. If you've ever been there in Cape and Bridge, best burgers ever. But they have these little pumpkins out on display. And so this illustrates my point: framing, depth, and color. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to talk about is cropping. Sometimes you just have to grab the shot because you just don't have time to frame it exactly the way you want. This is my daughter from when she graduated, and I got 2 seconds to get this shot. And obviously I don't need these people on either side. So I just took this photo and cropped it, and boom, there's our graduation picture. So grab the shot when you can and crop it later. Okay, so this is a panoramic shot of James Madison University, and yes, that is Bridgeport Stadium. And I show this because I want you all to understand that you have all sorts of toys and tools in your smartphones where you can get shots similar to this. Now, I won't lie, this shot is a hybrid because I wanted this field and I wanted that sky. So that sky was in another shot, and so I kind of mashed them together in Photoshop. But play with all the features on your phone, because panoramic is a really cool way to give a different perspective. I will tell you, the one morning it's really hard to post panoramics on Instagram and still keep them panoramic. So if you need help or have questions with that, just reach out to me because I can show you a simple way to do it. All right, so now we're going to talk about why you should always take more than one picture of your subject. So this series of shots was for a home that was for sale at the time, but it's a shot of the front of the house, but they're 3 very different shots and they show 3 different things. So always take more than one picture because you'll get different perspectives. Okay, and here again, I was talking about composition earlier, framing, depth, and color. And so here, and of course, and always catch the sun's on the front of the house. These shots wouldn't have worked if the sun was not on the front of the house. So be very attentive to where the light is and how it's hitting your subject. Okay. I don't know if hopefully you can see this. This is an example of an autofocus fail. This is my youngest son playing soccer way back in the day. And in this left-hand picture, wow, isn't that lovely brick on that house in the background? And here's my kid about to score, and whoa, he's out of focus. So in the next shot, though, I got it right. And he's in focus and the house is out of focus. So again, always take more than one picture, because sometimes you only take one and then you look at it later, oh, damn, it's out of focus. So take several so that you have something to choose from. So this is, if any of you have been to, I'm sure we've all been to Reagan National Airport. This first shot was dark. Second shot, nailed it. You know, light coming through the flag, you know, early, very early morning light, by the way. I'm lucky I was even awake to really realize what was happening here. So again, always take more than one picture. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about posing here, okay? And I'm throwing myself way under the bus here. There will be tire tracks on my back when we're done. Okay, but this is a really good example. On the left, wow, can I look any bigger? But I'm showing you these two images because this is the same shirt, okay? And these photos are actually only about 2 months apart. But here I'd look, you know, like a double wide. But here, same shirt, you know, arms down by my sides, you know, clasping my husband's elbow with my foot turned out. You know, I look a whole lot slimmer than over here. So a little bit, just a few notes about posing. You know, if you turn a little bit to the side and, you know, and throw a foot out, you know, it changes your whole body stance, and it's a lot more flattering. Okay, and a little posing in portraits. You want to make sure that your background behind people is, you know, it can be there, it can be textured. Just make sure there's nothing growing out of people's heads. Okay, like here you've got a mountain range in the background, but it looks like it belongs. Okay, but if there had been, like, you know, a hay bale or something back here, or like a cell phone tower or a telephone pole, I mean, we've all seen those shots where those things look like they're growing out of people's heads. So always be conscious when you're photographing people, especially, of what's behind them, and make sure that weird stuff isn't growing out of people's heads, because that just looks good. Okay, a note about professional headshots. That's all I've got to say about that. Just, your headshot really should be professional. Just using selfies, or that's all I've got to say about that. Professional headshots. If you have any questions or want me to elaborate, just reach out. Okay, make your environment part of what frames your subject. So many of you have seen on social media, I've been doing front porch portraits in collaboration with the Laurel Center. And I took it a step further and started doing front porch portraits for business. And so this way, you know, her environment is completely framing Carrie here at Scarpa Alta. Don't be afraid when things skid sideways. Sometimes you don't get the perfect shot. I would have loved for his to be able to see his eyes and everything over his mask, but it's just so cute. Here's the dog licking his face. I mean, that's perfect. So, and sometimes, so these are my kids from way back in the day. Okay, this is before, this is after. And this is so typical of my kids, but it's these photo shoot outtakes that can be really, really funny and very engaging on social media. And here again, here's the dog, you know, licking Jan, and they started laughing. And I mean, and that's like the best portrait. They're not looking at the camera, but that's okay. You can tell they are having fun. Everybody's having fun except this pup right here, who's like, what on earth are these people doing? Okay, we're gonna talk about camera angle. Sometimes it's good to just change the level of the camera from what we normally see. Okay, this is a ropes course for the Harpers Ferry Adventure Center. Everyone that had shot for this company had always been on the ground shooting up. So I donned the harness and the helmet, and I got up on the platform, not out on the ropes, just no. But I was up on the platform so that you can see the environment around them. And you can see that she is off the ground and she is just having such a good time. Okay, and again, change your camera angle. This is from the Hanley Library. You don't always see this view, when you're going up or down the stairs. But sometimes you just stop for a minute and just look around and you see cool stuff happening right in front of you. And this goes back to composition, talking about depth, framing, and color. Okay, we're going to talk about lighting for a little bit. Natural light is what it is, but lighting straight on with the light on the front of your subject, has its good points, but sometimes light from the side brings out texture and depth, which also are part of telling your story. These brownies, the sunlight was actually coming from the back. So I'm being in front of the brownies here. That sunlight behind them gives you a whole different texture. Those brownies were gone by the time that event was over too, by the way. Okay, look for light coming through things. Okay, this shot wouldn't have been nearly as interesting if the light had been from the front facing the tops of the bottles, but because it came from the back, it gives you a whole different perspective, and it's a lot more interesting to look at. And sometimes you just use the natural light that God gives you. So this gentleman was a street performer from a downtown event. Sun was going down, and this was just kind of the perfect shot. And it's only lit with the sun, and it's just one of those great shots. Sometimes you just fall into it. Okay, we're going to talk real quick. Almost done here. We're going to talk real quick about using flash. Okay, now this is my son when he was younger, and his buddy, and this is the difference between a fill flash and no flash. Okay, so the shot on the left is a little bit darker and kind of muddled, and on the right they look a whole lot brighter, and you can see their eyes a little better, and the colors just snap a little more. Okay, that is the difference between no flash and fill flash. Now, one warning though, phone cameras have not gotten to a point where the flash is really much of any good. So these next few tips will help you if you have more of a real camera, so to speak. Okay, because you don't get this sort of shot with a smartphone. It just doesn't happen. This is the Ginkgo Grove down in Blandy, and if you're photographing anything or anyone down in any sort of area with a lot of color, like these folks look jaundiced before I got hold of them in Photoshop. Okay, if you're in the forest, skin tones turn green. Okay, so a little bit of flash can help keep your skin tones normal looking, so to speak. Okay, and here again, this is flash from the front, sunlight from the left-hand side. So, and again, you will not get these sorts of results with a smartphone. So I'm just trying to be realistic here and give you tips that you can use, but these sorts of flash techniques are better used with a real camera. And just so you know, by shooting him from this direction, the sun kind of chiseled his left side here, gave me a hair light too. So, and then my flash filled in his face. And that is all that I have. So if if you have any questions, please reach out. And if you missed I did post my name, business name, and website in the chat feature. So if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help you. Okay, I'm going to hit stop share, and there we go.
Thank you, Lori. So we do actually have a couple questions. Someone asked, is there a camera that you recommend?
Oh, Lordy.
Are you on Team Canon or Team Nikon?
Oh, I won't lie. I am definitely Team Nikon. I'm a little bit of a Nikon whore. I won't lie. They're actually these days they're all pretty good. It's just a matter of just go play with them and see what features are, make the most sense to you, and where you can find them, and where they're most comfortable. Even when I had Valley Photo Center and was selling cameras, I always preferred the Nikons because they seem to be a little more intuitive as to where the controls were. But that's just me. And honestly, I am so out of touch with what's out there now because I buy really, really good gear and I run it until it blows up. And then I start looking and see, oh, what's out there? So that's not really a lot of help.
And the other question comes from me, actually. So this is a question I think a lot of our members would resonate with. You're all about, using imagery to tell stories, and a lot of the photos are from like events and buildings and people working. What about for companies, like largely B2B companies, that most of their workers are not in one location, or like they're either working remote or on different sites, or it's not really things that easily tell a story? Do you have any recommendations on how they can still use photos?
I'll have to think about that. Because if their workers are close by, for example, I'm starting a job in the next few weeks for a company that has workers in 3 different locations. So Stephen City and Edinburgh. So, I'll spend some time in all 3 of those locations. So I guess you could, right now, with people working out of their houses, that gets to be a little bit of a challenge. But I'm gonna show you something. Let's see. I'm gonna stop my video feed, because then my headshot's gonna pop up. And remember, I was talking earlier about selfies and said just no. Okay, so this latest headshot that I did, okay, I won't lie, this was a selfie, but I used the self timer feature. Okay, so that way, I'm not all up in the screen of my camera, because I'm sorry, I don't want to look any wider than I do. Okay, I just don't. So, but using the self timer feature, I could set up the shot, back up a little bit, and then I got exactly the shot I was looking for. So try the self timer feature for those folks that are working at home and by themselves. And that's actually something I kind of just discovered by accident. Oh, hey, this is cool. Let's try this. It's not ideal, but by the same token, sometimes you just got to make it work. And at the time, this was a couple weeks ago. In fact, Rebecca, was when we were doing that interview for your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I had that kind of all set up. I thought, well, shoot, I should just, I should do a couple of shots here. But I was by myself. I was working in an empty building. What do you do? Make it work.
Make the best of it.
Are there any other questions?
Well, Bill Nordman. I've got to change that on there. It says William, and everybody knows me as Bill Nordman instead. But yeah, Lori and I know one another, and the only reason I've handled cameras and photography as long as she has, because I'm a whole lot older. But I do have another company besides the real estate. At the beginning, Lori, and your comments was nice, and that was the fact of making pictures. And there's a big difference between taking pictures and making pictures.
Yes, there is.
And if you're doing shots, for business, you're really probably better off to let somebody who is really set up to do it. I know Lori and I both are big advocates of Nikon. The other thing that she didn't mention was tripods. Being able to set something so it's stable and not moving when you're talking about landscape or certain things like that. Sports is a whole other story. But the biggest thing is the difference between taking and making, and Lori and I both are, understand that the heavy duty, and that's why we're also invested heavy duty in some of our cameras. Good presentation.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to the breakout sessions. I'll just share my screen real quick, just so you have an overview of the questions. First, what are your key takeaways? Second, how can you use imagery to appeal to your target audience? And third, where are you struggling currently in marketing with images? Whether that's with taking them, making them better, or just period. So Ashley, can you? Yes, they're slowly coming back in. There we go. There's some more. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Do we at least have someone from every group? We were group 1. Was there anyone from group 2? Or is group 2 the one that we lost? Oh, there's some more people. Yay! They're all starting to come back. Must just have had some sort of delay. More at least. Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully the rest of the people will start filtering back in from their rooms. So we'll go ahead and get started. We were group 1, breakout room 1. So if no one else from my room wants to jump in, I can go ahead and summarize, but someone feel free to jump in. We primarily talked about headshots. Bill had a good comment of having like multiples that you can cycle through on social media or like Zoom or other places where you need a headshot. So you have different ones for different circumstances. So we were sharing personal stories about like when we needed more serious ones versus, lighter, happier, smiling ones, and how much people like the smiling ones, but they weren't always appropriate, and having some like fun, kooky ones too, just for fun, to get a laugh out of people and break the ice. But Amy, you had a question for Lori about along those lines.
Yes, I have 2 versions of my my headshot. My personal preference is to my more casual smiling one. However, the one that was corporately agreed upon is my more serious one, which is on our company website. So kind of the differences are like I don't know, maybe you can buy some more engineering if I'm like but I know you have to kind of adhere to what others ultimately decide on your behalf to some extent. And my perspective is different because to me, a smiling is like approachable, but maybe it's like showing weakness. I don't know.
I'm still back on corporately agreed upon because that's just really funny. I'm with you, Amy. I tend to think that Smiles make people a little more approachable. Especially, when I work with folks in the medical industry, for example, and bankers too, in particular, because think about it, with banking, you're telling people all your deep, dark financial secrets and embarrassments and all that stuff. Those people really need to look approachable. So that is something that I work towards frequently. But I hear you. There's times where something a little more serious. It just depends on the topic. On the copy going with the post too. I mean, obviously, if you're making a serious announcement about your business or something like that, smiling may not be completely appropriate, but I think I would say 90% of the time I'm going to go for that smiling, relaxed expression. But that's just me. But see, I work by myself, so corporately agreed upon in my world means I've checked with all the voices in my head, and they're I get a thumbs up.
What about breakout room 2? What did you guys talk about?
Which breakout room were we in?
That was us.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I'll kick us off. We talked a lot about like the use of expression. I really like what Lori said about, you don't have to get it perfect. You can fix that in editing. And talked about how, you're just looking for that couple seconds of emotion or expression in that picture. I thought that really spoke to me. And I know we focused on that too. And then she brought up, I think, which would probably be good for the group, someone had a question about which editing programs to use. And I think she had a couple tips or recommendations maybe that she was going to send out with just some things you can do on your phone. I think would probably be interesting for everyone to see.
Yeah, I probably should put together a little bit of a tutorial. And I would just have to do screenshots of my phone software, but show of hands for who
if you want to put it together, and then you could email it to Ashley. Ashley can send it out to the registrants.
Yeah. The only trouble though is that I've been an iPhone user for probably about 10 years, and I don't know squat about the Androids. But
and the Android flavors are so different. Like my Pixel's totally different than the Samsung's.
Oh yeah, my husband has an Android phone, and he'll ask for help. I'm like, dude, I got nothing.
Yeah.
But I'll send what I have, and because I think it's the ideas are constant. It's just where you find those controls. I mean, mainly it's cropping, shadow and highlight detail, and color saturation are the main things I play with. And I do a lot tools and Instagram, and I actually still do. But then I realized, oh, hey, I've got some of these same cool tools right here in my phone. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that toothpick shot I showed, yeah, that's on my phone.
What about room 3? What did you guys talk about? I don't know who that was, so.
I don't remember what room I was, but I think I was 3.
If you weren't with me and you weren't with Matt.
We talked a lot about different angles. It's interesting because now in my current position, we're a telecommunications company. So I don't take a ton of pictures, unfortunately, right now. But in my previous internship experience, I wish I would have kind of known this knowledge because I just take so many pictures. I worked for residence life on my college campus, and I was constantly taking pictures of our college campus, and it was such a struggle because I was taking them with my phone, and then I had a 6S, so it wasn't that great in comparison to my phone now. So definitely for my future, I think Lori's tips will definitely be helpful in whatever my career takes me. So thank you for that. Very helpful today.
Glad to help.
Awesome. All right, so that wraps up our discussion about imagery. I would love to continue the conversation on our Facebook group because I think there's some really good insights in just starting the conversation about imagery and how to tie, you know, better photos into marketing on a variety of levels, not just social media, but, you know, your corporate materials, your standard marketing assets, because that's something we talked about. It's like the difference between social media images where you can be a little looser versus stuff that you put out on like your corporate flyers and posters and things like that really should be professional. So I would love to, you know, if you come across any articles that would be helpful, feel free to post them. If you have any questions or insights or like examples of things that have gone well in your marketing, that where you've used different types of images and you figured out what worked and what hasn't worked, please share those insights on the Facebook group. Like, this is the collaboration element. This is why we started this group, is so we can all learn from each other outside of the presentations and outside of the groups. So if you haven't already joined, I know there's like 1 or 2 requests already that we accepted. So if you haven't already found it and joined, please feel free to do that. We'll be sending out the link for that and the feedback form afterwards, as well as the link to this recording. The last thing, and I mentioned this at the beginning, there's a final announcement. The last thing I want to talk about, just in our last couple minutes, we're, as the committee, trying to figure out what we want to do moving forward. So with Virginia entering phase 3 of reopening, people starting to get back into in-person meetings. Ashley said the chamber is trying to figure out a sort of hybrid between Zoom and in-person. So I want to get your guys' feedback on what you think, what you feel comfortable doing, what your preferences are going forward. We could either stick totally Zoom, we could do totally in person, we could do a hybrid. There's another thing that we talked about, because I know I, for one, am getting kind of fatigued of Zoom and tired of Zoom. I don't really know if like going in person is the right answer. So one thing we've talked about is if everyone else is feeling that way, changing the frequency from every month to every other month, if you're interested in that. So all of that's going to be in feedback form. I would love it if I could get, good amount of data to make a decision. But we want to make sure that whatever we choose going forward is going to meet the needs for everyone. So whatever that looks like, we want to hear from you. So I'll be posting that feedback form in the Facebook group as well, and it'll be in an email and the link that Ashley sends out. Yeah, anyone have any comments? I don't want to put you on the spot, so I was going to let you guys have some time to think about it.
I actually kind of like the Zoom format, because like these earlier meetings, I am now completely on time every time.
This is true.
There is that, because I am notorious, for being late.
Yeah. I personally, I miss the in-person connection, but I do love the fact that I just have to walk into a room and turn on my computer.
All right, I'm going to mute. So. That's my dog howling because he hates the phone.
Yeah. So, anyone have any thoughts right off the top of your head right now?
I don't know, maybe like a non-topic, just get together, meet at a park and just hang out for a little bit would be really cool to me. It doesn't necessarily have to always be about educational, but just kind of see each other in person, remind us of each other. I mean, I just kind of would, although then I would probably want to run over and hug you, and so that may be out of line.
A little bit of a disconnect, with these sorts of meetings, because any other time, like an in-person gathering, you'd be talking to the next person next to you, or cracking jokes with somebody across the table and things like that. So, I do kind of miss that, but I'm on time. Dressed. Yeah.
But this is the first time I've been able to attend one of these meetings. I just recently started serving the Winchester area, but I'm actually located in Moorfield, West Virginia. So the Zoom meetings that the chamber has been offering has been very convenient for me to be able to connect with people in the area. And it's a lot easier than trying to drive an hour and 20 minutes to go to an hour meeting and drive an hour and 20 minutes back to my office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I deal with
Yeah.
turn around if they can do something for their bottom line as well as us getting back in the deal.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know there's, I don't think it's a chamber group, but I know there's a networking group that used to meet in a restaurant for that purpose. Provide, like, they'd bounce around from restaurant to restaurant to help support a lot of local businesses. Like, yeah, so.
Especially a morning meeting. If there is bacon involved, I will be there.
I was gonna suggest someplace that had tacos, like Manoletes or someplace.
Yeah, that works too.
Bacon, tacos, coffee, whatever. All right. Well, yeah, I'd love to get your insights on that feedback form. So please keep an eye out for that on either Facebook or email, and let me know what you think. We're not going to make a decision like right now, obviously, but we do want to let you guys know so you can plan sometime within the next couple of weeks.
While we have this group, can I ask you all a question?
Yeah.
I know you all know this. When I turn my video off and just want to do like a profile picture, how do I change that in Zoom? Do I have to go like to the Zoom website or account?
You can do. I think if you go to Zoom, the zoom.com, you should be able to change it in your settings when you're setting up your profile, because and it will allow you to upload a photo similar to this, and then kind of round out the rest of your profile. So and that way, you know, when you have to leave the room or something, you know, you can just put that headshot up. Yeah. and that way you could use your smiling headshot too.
You can
You can do it while you're in a meeting or something. Like there's a little like dots you can click on your profile and stuff.
If you go to your square where you are, and in the top right corner, you'll see mute and then 3 little dots. Click on those 3 little dots, and then you go down to stop video. And that's how you do it.
And there's also something that says add profile picture. You can click on it. It'll take you to that.
Yeah. So, and then if you want to go back to it, you can hit start video. Okay. The other thing you can play with, and maybe Matt can speak to this wherever he is, there is also a way, if you go down, if you're on your laptop, I do not know how to do it on an iPad, but if you go down, if you're on your laptop, go down on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the little Zoom figure and it'll say stop video. And then that little dialog box comes up. You can choose a virtual background. And that's how it looks. So, let's see. So you can, okay. So, and that's how you do that. And then if you,
I think you have to have a paid account because I don't have any of those features.
okay. Now it's like, oh shoot, how do I get out of that?
I don't know how you can like get rid of it once you've put it on.
Yeah, I've done it before, and I can't remember either. But it's kind of a pretty like sunrise sunset thing.
Oh, so you go to the so I'm on a Mac. So it's the preferences thing. I don't know what it is on Windows. But it'll pop up your settings and it'll do virtual background and then you can click none.
Okay. So let's see.
Ooh.
Was that
Course at the beach.
you said preferences?
Yeah.
Okay. Video settings.
This is cool. I've never poked around in like all of the settings in Zoom before.
Well, and sometimes you just have to just push buttons until you figure it out.
Exactly.
And honestly, my philosophy is I will push buttons until I either piss somebody off or I figure it out. One of the two.
And hopefully not break something in the meantime.
Yeah. I've learned a lot of things by just pushing buttons. Well, I will post my business card on our group page, and that way, if folks have follow-up questions, you'll have all my contact info right there.
And Ashley, could you send that out in the follow-up email too? Thank you. Alrighty, everyone. Well, it was lovely seeing you all, and I hope you all have a good week.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.